All right, what is up, guys? Now we're going to be reacting to the comments that Michelle Obama made about Stephen A. Smith, and then we've got Stephen A. Smith responding to what she said. Now, if you've not seen the comments, you'll see during the video. So, guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and let's get into it.
Well, you may or may not have heard that Michelle Obama has a podcast. A couple of weeks ago, she had a former certain president on as a guest. Last week, our friend Stephen A. Smith somehow came up in a really weird, bizarre way during a conversation about reality TV. Take a look.
You know, if I listen to ESPN for an hour, it's like watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, you know, it's the same drama, and they're yelling at each other, and they don't get along. You know, I mean, Stephen A. Smith, he's just like every other
he'd
talk
be a
show
great
host.
Real Housewife.
He would be,
Right.
right?
It would be amazing.
So that's why I'm like, what's the difference? It's just, you know, it's just sociological drama.
Really, Michelle Obama isn't the only ghost of the Democrats' past to reemerge on the public scene recently. Former Vice President Kamala Harris announced her return to the spotlight last week with a book launch and an appearance on the very canceled Colbert. But some Democrats are not happy to see Kamala again. Multiple Democratic strategists telling Politico they would not want her campaigning for their candidates and say she should not run in 28. Here with his take, the star of First Take and the host of his own podcast and the host of every other show that he does, the one and only Stephen A. Smith. I took great offense at this. All right, so you and I will talk sports off air, and we'll agree at times to disagree. But when you look at an athlete, they have dedicated, whatever sport it happens to be, they have dedicated their entire lives to reach the pinnacle of success, to become a professional athlete or a top D1 college athlete. There's no comparison to these reality housewives show. I found it insulting.
Well, zero, but
I'll let it play.
but I didn't take offense to her comments. You know, she was comparing reality TV to sports TV from the standpoint of watching us go at one another. Well, first of all, like you said, there's no relation because these are some of the greatest athletes on the planet Earth that play professional sports. That's who we're talking about as opposed to reality TV stars that can barely act. That's number one. Number two, when you look at what she was talking about, you also have to take into consideration that she doesn't really pay much attention to sports. Evidently, she leaves that to her husband. And when she talked about First Take, she talked about us arguing with one another, hating on one another. We got a lot of love for one another on First Take. We get along just fine. We have a blast laughing and joking and having a ball and yelling at each other about sports. Sometimes we're monotone in our delivery, but we have a lot of fun on First Take. That's why we've been #1 for 13 consecutive years and counting. That's number two. Number three, let me say this to the other people she
Just
rapped
don't
that
talk
she had
politics,
on.
and you're doing great.
Stop it. Let me say this last part to the other people that were on the table with her. You can say Stephen A. Smith is a lot of things and will be a lot of things. The one thing you can never say about me is that I'm going to be a housewife. There's no confusion there. Zero.
Look, guys, can I just say this? I'm not gonna lie. I see in the comments of this video, a lot of people are saying basically that, you know, how can she really say that? Because, you know, Michelle Obama, she just, I don't know, she likes drama herself, right? Which I agree with. But what I will say is I do somewhat agree with her on her take on it being kind of a, if you've watched ESPN or if you've watched them talk about basketball, it is kind of like a, obviously the topic is different, right? They're not, you know, obviously they're talking about professional sports, and obviously it's not always like that, but I do think there's an element of drama to the things, and it's not like, look, you need an entertaining show, of course. Like he says, they've been #1 for a reason. There's a reason why he got that big contract, obviously. You know, he's very entertaining, but there is an element of Real Housewife, reality show, you know, sometimes on ESPN. So I do kind of agree with her on her comment. But I do see people saying basically it's probably coming from the wrong messenger. But I don't think she's completely off with the comments, because if you've watched basketball, if you've watched it, or I've been watching I used to watch First Take a lot, like back in the day as well. So I've been watching Stephen A. Smith for a long time. The comments are not too far off, in my opinion.
Too much male testosterone on Hannity tonight. Here it is. Here come the comments. They're going to come flying in on X right now. You're on your own on that one. All right. You actually said something about Michelle Obama. You said a vote for Trump was a vote against you and a vote against women.
Yeah.
You took huge umbrage with that.
Yes, I did, and I still do. I took umbrage against that when she said it. I did the same with her husband when he spoke to young black men in Pittsburgh and basically alluded to misogyny if folks didn't vote for Kamala Harris. And I just thought that I was highly offended by that because for a long time, I think it's been a complete misnomer that black men don't revere black women. Where, you know, mamas and grandmamas and sisters and aunts helped raise us and make us into the men that we strive to be and aspire to be. And we've always revered them, and we have no problem supporting a woman if we agree with them, talking about politically. If Kamala Harris is somebody that most people thought could handle the job of being the president of the United States, she would have been the one to get 77+ million votes instead of Donald Trump. They want to bring up the fact that she only lost by 1.5%, but she lost every swing state. She lost the male vote. She lost a lot of the black vote and the Hispanic vote compared to what Biden had done 4 years earlier. So it was a legitimate, bona fide, straight up loss. And it's the first time a Republican had won the popular vote, I think, since 2004, if I remember correctly. So the bottom line is it speaks for itself. And in the end, if she was strong enough and it resonated strong enough with more people with that 107 days she had to campaign, she would have won the election. If she was strong enough, maybe she would have got past Iowa in 2020.
Damn, so this is what it's about. Is this because of the comments Stephen A. Smith made? Is that why she made those comments? I'm guessing she wasn't happy with what he said or something. Is this why she's probably brought this up on a podcast that barely anyone watches? A little bit of drama with the Democrats right now.
If she was strong enough, maybe they would not have had to bypass a primary in order for her to be in that situation where she was in a position to succeed Joe Biden.
Do you want to say now, tonight,
so what it
Hannity, you were right about President Trump? He's been a great president, an
no, I'm not saying that.
consequential,
I'm not saying that.
transformational 6 months.
No, I'm not willing to say that. Let me tell you why I'm not going to say it. Hold on, let me tell you why I'm not going to say it. Are you going to interrupt me? Let me tell you why I'm not going to say it. Excuse me. I heard about the 10 trillion in investments for manufacturing, autos, and semiconductors.
Actually,
those are pledges.
To 15 now.
All right, but those are pledges. Let's see it actually reach fruition. I saw the jobs report. 113,000 jobs was expected in July. Only got about 73. I heard about it. Excuse me, hold on. Is the royal Russia-Ukraine still going on that he said he was going to end? I'm sorry, Israeli-Hamas conflict. Is that over? I mean, is that a perfect record here, Sean? You need to stop that about him. He's got. By the way, hold on.
No president has ever gotten the commitments for pharmaceuticals, rare earths, for semiconductor chips, automobiles.
I want the commitments
here in America.
It's a lot of commitments that get made. It don't mean it reaches fruition. I need to see it. Last thing, by the way,
you just can't, you know what you can't do?
Big, beautiful
you can't say the words. You were wrong.
Listen,
just admit it. You were wrong.
Yeah, look, now they're getting more into politics, which, you know, we didn't come here for that. I just wanted to react to Michelle Obama's comments. But, you know, guys, I don't think she's that far off. I don't think she's far. It is kind of a reality show sometimes. ESPN can be like that. I don't know. Like, I'm not. And most people, I don't think, are really disagreeing with her comments. I just think it's just Michelle Obama. No one really likes her right now. All right, I mean, some people do, but most people just think you're not really that interesting. You just need to stop talking. Which, you know, I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I just don't really care enough to agree or disagree about her. Like, I didn't really know she had a podcast till a couple of weeks ago. So I think that's everyone's settlement right now is like, look, just be quiet, you know. And look, and Stephen A. Smith, you know, he's funny and he's entertaining, and that's why he gets a lot of views in the show. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a lot, especially if you're in that basketball world. It can be sometimes, like, he can be a little bit problematic, especially when you're talking about the way he talks about the older generations of basketball compared to the new generation of basketball players. Those type of comments, it's like, he can get annoying sometimes, but, you know, it's coming from Michelle Obama, which, you know, come on. She's not, without a husband, no one would really care about her. She's not interested at all in any single way. So, yeah, but guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and let me know, was she right about Stephen A. Smith? Or was she wrong? Let me know down below.